Hi everybody, we are back in the kitchen, and today I am cutting onions. I keep a cool wet cloth, but I was dehydrating onions this week. I'm on my third day of dehydrating, and I just thought my last couple of onions I would cut up and show you how I do this from a perspective of the city farm girl. So onions are awesome. I use them in everything, but I can't really store them. I don't really have a cellar to store them, so I want to be able to preserve them ahead of time, and so dehydrate. Also, I kind of wanted to point out that some of my things that I'm using are not super fancy, and just kind of how I go about it because it's not super fancy. So first, let's look at the dehydrator. It is a Presto dehydrator. It has no controls, it has no timer, and it has got 4 trays. So it's a really, really simple one, which means you have to keep an eye on it. And because it only has 4 trays, it can only hold so much. So, but that's what I've got, and so that's what I'm working with. So here are the trays. I've got onions in there, and here, and here. So now we're gonna fill the top tray. Now, I don't have a fancy, what are those things called? Mandolin things that you chop with. So I have a decent knife. It's not a super fancy knife. I think the best, where I found pretty good knives are TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Home Goods, Tuesday Morning. I haunt those kind of stores, or at least I used to, don't now. So I'm glad I got this then. I think I picked this up at TJ Maxx, to be honest. So I cut both ends off. I know that there's a theory if you don't cut off the root, then it doesn't burn your eyes as much, but I haven't found that to be true. So I cut off both ends, and then for safety's sake, I cut off the side like that. And I know that's wasting some onion, but I prefer the safety to the loss of onion. Then I'm going to go ahead and peel the outside of it. There we go. And then the reason I cut that end off is I just set it there like that. So then it's pretty simple to slice. And then we're going to slice it in very thin slices like that. All right. And while I'm when I'm doing a lot of these like this, I always wash my hands in between each onion. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm doing the video, but then we just start taking those pieces and laying them on top of each other. Because I don't have, I would like to get those tray liners, which is next on my list, but since I don't, I do get rid of the very small pieces of the inside of the onion, otherwise it just falls through. So, and these are purple onions. I did a whole bunch of yellow onions, but I had the purple onions, so I thought, well, we'll do those too. So, anyway, I'm talking about like city farm girl stuff, and that's because, in this city where I live, I don't have a cellar. I can't even make a cellar, to be honest. That's just not gonna happen. So we do things a little differently. It's really handy to have these onions on hand, preserved. Once they're dried, they really, last a long time. You have to reconstitute them. And then I'm also putting all my extra bits of onion here in this bowl, because later I'll take it out to the composter. So that'll be cool. And then get that done to the last onion to slice. Oh, I'm very excited about that, to be honest. I would have to say it's not super fun slicing up a lot of onions, but that's okay. And also, my other point was that when you don't have all of the equipment, but you have, equipment that works, well, you just work with it, you don't have to wait till you have exactly what everybody else is showing you to use. It would be nice, you know, but we don't always have the ability to go ahead and get that equipment right away. You know what, that one's over full, so we're gonna go over here. So with these little pieces of onion, they can be kind of laid on top of each other. At least I've found that to be fine because they're so little. So they're gonna dry up really well. In a second, I'm gonna show you the dried up version once I get these trays filled. Oops. There we go. All right, so, all right, let's take a look at them. So there they are. They're all layered in there. And then we set that on top of there, and then this goes on top of that. And the next thing is I'm gonna take that outside and I'm putting it on the porch, and it here on this, whatever the amount this heats at, it takes me about 5 hours to dehydrate that amount of onion. So these are the yellow ones that I did in the last 2 days. And this is 6 pounds of onions right here. And what I just did here is almost 3 pounds. I kept back a couple of onions, so it's not quite 3 pounds of onions, but that's really quite a lot of onion to have. And then you reconstitute it, or you can take it and grind it up and make onion powder, that sort of thing. So now that that's all done, I'm gonna take this out to my composter. I'm gonna take this outside and plug it in and give it, you know, I check it every few hours. I always check the bottom one. I just lift it up and check the bottom one because that's the one that's gonna get done the soonest. So sometimes I need to move the trays just a little bit, or sometimes the bottom one gets done and I just take it out and then I have to move them around a little bit. And that's what happens when you have a real, you know, inexpensive tool. But I've got it and I'm really happy and I'm grateful for it because I've dehydrated the onions. And I also dehydrated potatoes earlier, which I didn't do any video on. So sorry. I will though. If I get another batch of potatoes, I will go ahead and do another batch of them in the dehydrator. But I'm going to show you the process of that. Onions are so simple. You just chop them up, stick them in there, plug it in, you're done. You cry a lot. I have a nice cool wet rag. Oh, goodness. All right, guys, have a great day. I'm looking forward to using my dried onions later this year. Bye.